Okay, hello everyone. This is a video that I didn't really plan to make, but I'm making it anyway since I've recently been on Twitter over the past couple hours and I've been seeing nothing but non-stop about how video games are or aren't to blame for these mass shootings that have happened over here in the United States over the past week or so. There's been quite a few shootings that have happened. There was one in El Paso, there was one over in Ohio. Dayton, Ohio had a shooting. And California, somewhere in California, I can't remember from off the top of my head, I had a shooting last week, and ever since then there's been all sorts of bullshit on the news, on Twitter about, this and that's to blame, whether video games are to blame, bullshit like that. And video games is the #1 trending thing on Twitter right now. Video games are not to blame is the #1 trending hashtag on Twitter right now. Over 85,000 tweets, if you can believe that, just on this topic alone. And Boogie2988, I've been seeing a couple of his tweets, which I'll show right here on the screen, basically saying, video games aren't to blame for all these mass shootings, which I'm going to explain why he's right in a second here, because I do have a few good points to make, and I thought he made some good points about this along with a few others that I've seen that I can't remember off the top of my head. And that point is, there are so many other countries out there, not just the United States, that play games like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, etc., etc., and those countries don't have the shootings that we do. And I think that should say something about whether video games do cause these mass shootings or not, because if they did really that bad, then these other countries would have just as much shootings as we do. But they don't have as much shootings as we do. I'm going to use New Zealand as an example. I know New Zealand did have that attack a while ago, but that's something that New Zealand rarely happens for those not really educated on the country of New Zealand. They had a shooting in Christchurch, but New Zealand is a country that rarely has a shooting, but of course they are a more modernized country, and of course they play games like Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto. It's a part of their culture as well as ours over here in the United States, kind of, and they don't have much shootings at all. What about New Papua Guinea? They're a more modernized country and play games like Call of Duty and Grand Theft Auto. UK, Norway, Denmark, it just goes on and on. These countries don't have as much shootings, even though they play violent video games like we do over here in the United States. So I'm gonna make that point here because I think that's the best point that I can really make in this video. I can make a few other points, of course the ones that have been stated a million times, like, millions and millions of people play violent video games every single day and they don't do a thing. And yes, that's been said a million times and that is true. I feel like this is coming from mostly the older generation that believes that video games are a direct link to these mass shootings. I think they just don't understand as much because they didn't grow up with games like we did. Some of them did grow up with some, but some of this older generation, from what I've seen, just doesn't understand really, especially the ones that are really old, that grew up like during the segregation days, didn't have video games whatsoever. I think some of the people who were born in like the 70s and 80s understand, but like before that, it's especially among them that they really just don't understand video games at all because they don't really play them. They didn't grow up with them like we did. So I feel like there's a difference there, a barrier between us as of that aspect. But still, either way, violent video games are not the cause of these shootings. And anyone who says they are, I must ask, what is your evidence behind this? What is your backing behind this? Because I still just cannot find a good argument to support why violent video games cause these mass shootings. Now, I must ask the people out there actually in favor of banning all these games like Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty for everyone. I do agree that they shouldn't be among the hands of young children. I get that. But banning it for everyone, I just must ask, what is this really going to do about these shootings? Because I'd love to get an answer from someone who actually agrees with banning these games. A logical answer, not, pretty much stating the exact same things I said that cause mass shootings, and a lot of these shooters did happen to play these games. That doesn't directly link to that at all for obvious reasons. And usually if you look at a lot of these shooters' backgrounds, these video games are not the reason for them shooting up schools or going out shooting up a church or whatever it may be. That's really usually not the reason at all. So I really don't get where these people are getting this from. I just really don't. Like I said, people who agree with banning these games, give me a logical reason why, please. Don't just say, oh, you know, there's this one shooter, you know, like the Sandy Hook shooter who was obsessed with Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty or whatever that they did years ago. I don't want to hear all that. I want to hear a logical argument, please. Will pretty much be it for this video. I know this was a random video and I was doing song reviews over the past couple days, and I'll get back to those, but I just had to make a video on this because this whole situation is just getting ridiculous right now. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.